fuck yourself. Whatever, man. God, this song pissed me off so much. I wanted to find 340 on this, and maybe I'll continue looking, but I have played this song way too fucking long for what it is. You know, the biggest kick in the balls is that getting 340 wouldn't even be a big deal if that fucking note was there. But it just packed its fucking bags and went on vacation. Yeah, I've been playing this for like 3 fucking hours, and the first like 2.5 hours the first like hour and a half I was just butting my head against that first act trying to stop red flaming it. And now I'm like crazy consistent at it for what it is. I'm pretty sure it's an extended hit window exclusive double. And with that awkward fretting pattern, I mean, I never thought I would get this consistent with it. But anyway, finally I went back and looked at the other paths, because I thought there was no way that 340 would be possible without the Nearly Ideal act. But it turns out this is a very similar setup to Bury the Hatchet, just in reverse, I guess. The Bigger Squeeze score is 340-14. But that, of course, includes the note that doesn't exist. So you just sub that out for the double squeeze that I got on the upper bound path. And yeah, the Bigger Squeeze is saying that this should be possible on this path. And the thing about that is, if I don't have good enough whammy to get the Bigger Squeeze ticks, I for sure don't have good enough whammy to hit the Nearly Ideal squeeze. Or at least that's how I'm justifying this in my mind. I don't know why I'm saying all this shit before even reviewing the whammy for this act. Could have been better, of course, but honestly did not look that bad. And I'm still 36 away. And with the tempo this low, that is quite a bit. Anyway, I would have given up on the Nearly Ideal a long time ago and just went for this 339.9. But I had at least one run that I either red flamed the front end or just could tell I missed it by like a frame, and I actually got the back end on the Nearly Ideal path. So from there I just started believing that I could do it, and again, maybe I can. Maybe the difference for the whammy between the Bigger Squeeze and Nearly Ideal just isn't significant for whatever reason that would be. All I'm trying to say is it's a bummer I wasn't able to find 340, and fuck this song. Yes! Fuck yes! God, this song can burn in hell. Oh my God damn. We fucking got it. 340k. I am done with this DLC. Holy shit. Yeah, I really don't know what happened with the paths here, but I was not even getting close. Like 30 points away from 340k on the bigger squeeze path on my best attempts. Dude, I can't believe I hit that fucking last act nearly ideal there. God damn, my heart almost jumped through my fucking throat and out my mouth when I saw that blue flame. Fuck that whammy. Seriously, dude, that gives Mother's last act a run for its money. I think it's even worse, honestly, because A, there's more grace notes than, like, phrase 1, and B, the notes are shorter, which, to be fair, kind of plays to your advantage on the very first one if you do a single whammy pump, because the note is short enough to where the continuous whammy timing continues into the next note. So in that respect, it's actually kind of a good thing, but especially for all the following grace notes, it sucks that they're so short. It is very hard to properly time those transitions and do it as fast as possible. For that, I strum on the green, slide my index down to red, and then slide my index down again to yellow, and use my middle finger to activate all the blues. And I'm pretty sure that's where I dropped most of these ticks. I think I can check that. Well, I'm not even gonna bother. I would have to know the ticks in between every grace note, and I just don't care. But yeah, I most likely dropped a couple / a few on the end of that red, setting up for the first grace note early whammy. And man, that absolutely sucked to just get there and hit that blue too early. I did that like 3 fucking times in a row, which leads into the somehow bigger problem. I'm actually using a different extended hit window method for Act 1, but near the end of that first session, I finally figured out the front end of Act 1, and I was hitting it with a surprising amount of consistency. By that point, I had already switched over to the bigger squeeze path. I'm not sure if I'm gonna go through the whole post-discussion on that run, but I essentially thought that if my whammy wasn't good enough to get 340 on the bigger squeeze path through ticks, then there was no way I was going to be able to get the nearly ideal squeeze, because, you know, I just assumed that it would require more whammy, logically. But apparently for some fucking reason that just isn't the case. Anyway, so yeah, after like 2 fucking hours of just red flaming that first act front end in that first session, I finally started to figure it out and get consistent with it, but through a combination of, again, changing paths and also just being fatigued. I don't think that was even the first song I had done that session, so I was just very fatigued by the end of my first run through this, and I was kind of just looking to finish up a run, even though it really sucked to leave this 340k on the table. And after that session, I had one other, like, very short session where I was just like, we'll just throw a couple runs at this, see if I can get enough ticks, see if it's possible to get enough ticks or feasible. And nothing really came of that whole session. I wasn't hitting the first act, and really what I mean by that was that I was red flaming the front end again a high percentage of the time, and so like immediately I was just like, oh god, I really didn't figure this out. Apparently it just didn't ingrain itself, and that really made me worry, and that kind of like killed most of my ambition for picking this back up for 340. Then today, this is the same day I did Frankenstein. Like I said, I hopped on, did like 5 to 10 minutes of practice on the Frankenstein second act front end and the last act, and then got that immediately. So I was just like, let's just try to kill this all right here. And so I went into this first like run or two even, I didn't red flame the first act front end, but I didn't push the back end enough, so I missed the act. And then after that, it just all went downhill again. It felt like I never even figured this out the first time. Like I never even hit the act. I was just red flaming it every fucking time. It's been like 2 fucking hours that I've been at this again. And 95% of that time was just reset, act 1, red flame, reset, because it's such an awkward pattern and it's just fast enough. It's just like that fucking 17 act 3, except I don't have the ability to use the extended hit window quirk like in that game where you can anchor the lower note, which makes it a little bit less chaotic. Yeah, so now I'm using a completely different method where I'm just anchoring green and treating it like an ascending triplet, but that really doesn't work very well because the notes leading into the sequence are just too close together, and it's just so fucking hard to mentally separate that front end and execute it right. So aside from that last act just being a pain in the ass, mainly because of the whammy, the big reason I just popped off so fucking hard and was so nervous going into that outro is because my consistency with Act 1 is just trash right now. So anytime basically I hit that in this session, and especially after getting any sort of decent whammy, the nerves were just way higher than they were at the end of the first session. The only really good thing about this whole experience is that after the first session, when I completed the bigger squeeze run, I was lamenting how I spent a majority of that session practicing the nearly ideal last act, and how I felt like I wasted all that time because I quote-unquote didn't need it for 340k. But without a doubt, practicing that front end and back end sequence paid dividends in this session. There was just no way I would have got this without that prior experience, mainly on the front end because it's really awkward. You have to strum that 16th note or whatever right before the front end, and it's just really hard to time that without like strumming it too early and then get a, you're basically aiming for perfect extended hit window act because of how fucked the whammy is. So yeah, that paid off huge. And it's just one of those things, you never know just how things are going to interact with each other. Things you thought were wastes of time or irrelevant turn out to be hugely important in ways that aren't clear to you yet. That's just a general life thing. Yeah, I mean, there's really not that much all to say about this song. It's pretty simple, no whammy first act that just is the biggest fucking headache when you get into a bad muscle memory groove. The second act is absolutely nothing. The only thing worrisome about that second act is literally remembering to activate, because I did forget to activate on a couple runs post first act, and that was very irritating, especially in this session with a terrible consistency. And again, I have to draw attention to this, that if that last note was actually in the chart properly, 340k really wouldn't be that big of a deal. But here we are.